Greetings, champions. We are back in the man cave of an acting teacher for another video. This is a black t-shirt. There is no significance to it. It's just a different t-shirt. All right. Okay, so I hope you're well, right? I've been doing a lot of self-tape guidance with students recently, with actors who are self-taping for different things that are coming up, right? If things ever do come up again, which of course they will, right? But yes, casting directors are still asking for self-tapes from people right now in preparation for when all this ends. I was helping a young actress yesterday with a wonderful audition that she got from a very big casting director for a new TV series, right? I won't give anything of that away, obviously, because of confidentiality. There's kind of rule number one. Okay, your scripts are very confidential, all right? Don't give them away because there's spoiler stuff in there, right? So with your self-tapes, right, there's two kind of elements to this that I'll talk about. One is the technical stuff that you have to cover, all right? And I might refer to my friend from yesterday who was doing her self-tape as I go along about that. And similarly with the second stage of stuff, which is what you actually do with the acting. How do you make the acting work, okay? So the first thing is, we didn't have self-tapes in my day when I was a young fella coming up as an actor because, you know, we had auditions. We went to screen tests, right? If we had to go to London for an audition, we got on a plane. We went to London. That's how it went. But these days, we have self-tapes, okay? It doesn't work so much like that anymore, right? But when you go for a screen test or an audition, you'll walk in the door and everything will be set up for you. The camera is not your responsibility. The lighting is not your responsibility, nor is the sound. There will be someone there to read for you, yeah? All that's been provided for you, and you go in and you concentrate on getting to know the people in there and then giving a really great screen test, all right, a great audition, all right? But with self-taping, all of those other things, those obligations have now been placed on you and you need to solve them yourself, which does give it an extra layer of distraction from the acting. And that's the big thing about it. You need to solve these things specifically and definitively so that you can concentrate on what you do best, which is the acting, all right? Okay, so what do you need? First thing that you need, right, is to read the instructions that you're sent by the casting director. Each casting director will have different requirements and different instructions. And you need to read those instructions, right? 3 times, because if you don't, and then you go, oh, I'll just contact this casting director and say, oh, so how do you want me to send the file? And they'll contact you back and say, if you'd read the instructions, it would have said we transfer. They don't like that. Now, they're very nice people, as I've already said, right? But if they've sent you the instructions, read them properly, okay? So that, again, you can just solve all these things definitively without bothering anybody else and not distracting yourself or being anxious yourself about the situation. But one casting director will have different instructions to another, so read those. Some casting directors will ask for an ident to camera. And would you believe they'll ask for that in full body length from head to foot. So you need to find a door, right? Close that door, stand up against that door and get your friend or your mum or whoever's doing this self-tape with you to stand a long distance away and get the full body length with you saying what they've asked you to say. Your name, age, agent, can you ride a horse, whatever the instructions are that they've sent you that they want you to say in the self-tape, all right? Now, that's really hard because it's kind of doable if you have a phone and you're using your camera on your phone, but if you have a DSLR or something like that, or even a Handycam, it's harder to get that full-length shot, especially with a DSLR, because it's great cinema-grade quality, but it has a locked-off 45 or 50mm lens, and you won't be able to do that. You simply can't do it. And a lot of agents, I know my agent always says to me, Dave, use your DSLR. Don't use your camera. The quality is not good enough. Go for the DSLR. And I can't do those long shot idents, so I just have to make them as long as I possibly can, yeah? So again, you kind of got pressure from different angles and people telling you different things, but you have to solve it as best you can for that particular project that you're auditioning for. So that's your ident to camera if you're asked for it. A lot of casting directors don't even want one. They already have your stuff. They have your bio, which has your measurements and your eye color and hair color and your weight and your height and all of those different things are already listed. They don't need you to do an ident, right? So some do, some don't, okay? Now, let's talk about the technicalities of setting it up. You need a blank background, not like this, all right? Now, that's, again, tricky to find. How many blank walls do you have in your house? You might need to take down a poster or a couple of paintings or whatever it is that you've got there, right? Or hang up a sheet, a white sheet or a cream colored sheet, and gaffer tape that to the walls so that you have a blank background to do this against. Yeah? Okay. Now, once you've got that solved, you've got to think about your lighting. All right. So as you can see with this shot now, I've got a lot of shadow here on this side of my face. And most of that is because I'm actually using lighting that's in my man cave here. All right. So if I was to turn those lights off, okay, and if I turn my face out to this window, right, I've got a window here, right, I've got a full face of natural light on my face. What the camera needs to be able to see is your eyes, okay? The best lighting to use is a window or a glass door in the daylight. It's constant, it's consistent light, and it's very soft as well, okay? And it doesn't cast shadows if it's coming in on your face. So try to do this in the daytime if you can, if at all possible. Not always possible, because sometimes you get the self-tape late in the day and they want it for tomorrow and you're still at work and you've got to go home and shoot the thing at 10 o'clock at night, and you just have to do your best. But if you do have to use artificial light, make sure it's constant on your face. If the light is coming just from over your head, it may cast a shadow over your eyes, because if you have a pronounced supraorbital ridge here, your eyebrows like mine, if I have a light just over my head, it's just going to cast a shadow over my eyes and you won't see my eyes, okay? The eyes are the windows to the soul. Make sure we can see those, okay? Okay, so that's the light. Try and use natural light if you can. If you have to use artificial light, get some lamps that are lower down. Make sure that they are lighting up your whole face. And just make sure you don't look like, you're telling a scary story on a camping trip with a torch. That's the other thing you want to try to just balance out a little bit if you can. All right? Okay, sound. The sound in your camera is really good. The mic, right? Sound in a DSLR mic in the camera is just fine. You don't need anything else. But again, you can go and buy a mic that has a little clip and you plug it into the camera, and they're 20 quid. You can get them pretty cheaply. On that, you can actually get lights, LED lights, on Amazon that are reasonably cheap as well. You can get these nice little ring lights that are made from LED lights now, which are cool, okay? Give you a flatter kind of light on your face and won't cast as many shadows. So look, you can invest in these things and go and buy other things, but if you don't have the cash for that, right, use natural light, okay? And the camera mic is just fine. You don't need an extra mic usually, yeah? Try and find a quiet place. I know, again, it's really hard. Your home is not a film studio, so it's not soundproofed. But, there's things that you can take care of. You probably can't take care of the neighbor's dog as much as you might like to, right? But, and you can't take care of the traffic going by, but you can close the window. You can switch off the washing machine or something that might be putting unnecessary sound in the background of your piece, okay? Okay, so that's your light and your sound, right? Make sure they work and they're really good. You've got your blank background. Now, your shot should be round about here, okay, to just above the top of your head. Don't cut your hair off, right? Just above, about 6 inches. You don't need as much as I have here. Just a couple of inches above your head even, right? So it should be what we call a mid-shot or thereabouts, all right? Okay, now let's get into the how to make this work acting-wise, right? You will have 2 eye lines most of the time. One will be to the other character that you're talking to, okay? That's, in my technique, what we call your external life. It's when you're trying to get your objective from that other character. Dude, I need you to do this. Or will you go out on this date with me? Or you're fired, or whatever the thing is. It's where your objective is, your external life. It goes here, yeah? In life, we have this, obviously, when we're talking to someone in a conversation. I'm doing it with you right now. But we also have an internal life. And in acting, especially screen acting, this is very, very important, all right? So again, use your technique, all right? This will all be taught to you in any good screen acting technique, okay? Okay, the internal life is where your character goes to look for their thoughts and the right things to say, all right? So if I'm talking to the character here, my internal life is where I go to find out what do I really want to say, yeah? Now, as you can see, if I decide that that place is down here, you're only going to see that my eyelids, it's going to look like my eyes are closed, and you'll kind of see the top of my head. So that's not a good place to put my internal life, yeah? Where I go for my thoughts. So where I go for my thoughts instead should be maybe somewhere here. Cross the camera. Okay, how am I going to get this girl to go out on a date with me? Or whatever the case may be. I tell you what, right? And then I'm back to my external life. Now, I'm over-exaggerating this, obviously, to make the point, right? But I don't want to put my internal life down here. I don't want to put it over here, right? Where you're just getting this mess here. Because, again, you lose my eyes. And the eyes are where we see what you're thinking. And the audience do that. They look into your eyes to try to work out, what's he going to do? Is he going to get the date? Is he going to fire the employee or whatever the thing is that he's doing, right? They look into the eyes and they try to read your mind. So if you take your eyes away from them, you know, it's hard for us to connect with the character, okay? Okay, so you've got your external life, you're talking to the other character, you've got your internal life. Damn it, how am I going to get this girl to go out on this date, whatever the case may be? I tell you what, why don't we do this? I don't know, whatever, I'm just making this stuff up, right? Okay, you may have a third point of focus, eyes-wise, right? And that might be in the script, like perhaps, you know, a car drives through the wall, right? Or something like that, you know. So work out your third point of focus, if there is a third one, and that will be in the script itself. It'll depend on the script, okay? So just going back to the one I did yesterday with my young actor protege who put down a lovely self-tape yesterday, right? More than likely, your casting director, if they're a good casting director, will give you a script that has what we call an inciting incident in it, or between two scenes, all right? So in that scene, right, you'll have the character realizing something, right? Something massive will change for them, so you need to chart that journey, okay? There'll be an epiphany in there, right? Or there'll be two scenes. One where the character is, you know, it doesn't have any huge crisis going on. They're kind of, it's the establishment stuff at the beginning of the movie. And then you'll have a second scene, right, which you do as two different takes, right, two different files that you're going to send off, right? And the second tape, or the second scene, will be after something massive has happened. So even though they're just sort of stuffing around here in the first one and we're getting to know them, in the second one, they will be perhaps dealing with a tragedy that has happened since, all right? So you need, again, to make sure that you get that journey for the character. That's a big box tick, yeah? Where we see that that character has transitioned in some way, that they have had a transformation of some kind, all right? Okay, so internal and external life, get your journey right, okay? And also, the other cool thing to mark, if you can, or to use, is your powers of endowment, which is your imagination. So you're going to have a reader opposite you, could be your mum, could be your boyfriend, could be someone who's not an actor, who's just trying to do the best they can for you, right? They'll be right next to the camera, okay? So ask them to read with a low voice, okay, a quieter voice, because they're closer to the mic than you. Get them to read as smoothly as they possibly can, okay? And you try and endow them with the qualities of being the character in the scene. Now, I can't go into that in detail in a video like this, but that's a part of your technique. That's your imaginative powers. To look at your mum and say, well, you know, that's not my mum anymore. That's now an employee that I have to fire, and to treat that entity over there with that imagined endowment of them as that person instead, okay? So then it's a matter of using the rest of your technique. Know then that you've got your technical stuff sorted out, you've got your background, you've got your sound right, you've got your lights right. It is now, you've got your eye lines right. It's now time to let the technique do the work. And you concentrate on things that are to do not with all of that stuff, which is the actor in crisis trying to deal with a self-tape. Now you're dealing with what the character is dealing with. So you use the technique, the objective, the core problem, extended imagery, given circumstances, archetype and antithesis, whatever it is in your technique that gives you that sense of this is me now, yeah, and gives you that power of total self-delusion or self-distraction at least, where you're not worried about the sound, you're not worried about how it's going to look, you're not worried about the vanity of it, and you can really just go for it as the character then and put down a really cool self-tape for yourself, all right? And I suppose that's the final thing to say, you know. all of those distractions need eventually to go away. So if you solve them in a confident, sure way for yourself, then you can concentrate on being that character in that scene. The other thing about it is that, you know, with self-tapes, we all have a little bit of vanity going on, don't we? Yeah, we'll look at it back and we'll go, oh, I don't like what I did with my eyebrow in that moment. Whereas a casting director, they don't care, you know? They don't care about what you think about how you look. So you can do 25 takes, right? Looking for the one where you look the prettiest. And probably take number 2 or 3 was just as good as take number 24 and 25. And it's got nothing to do with how pretty you look anyway. It's about seeing if we've got the actor who can tell this story, who can be this person for the audience. Look, I better stop because it's a long one, this one. I'm going to stop. Take care of yourself. I'll do another Man Cave of an Acting Teacher video for you tomorrow on a different topic, all right? If you would like to do a class about self-taping with me, I'm doing them pretty much all the time. If you have a self-tape you want to do, give me a shout. I'll organize it with you. See you later, guys. Bye.